about what the Americans will do as part of the Israeli retaliation. It is only about the defensive stage in which the Americans are helping us to deal with the salvos of the missiles coming from Iran. It is not about the reaction of America in Iran.
All right, that's the big breaking news development, friends. President Biden of the United States has ordered the U.S. military to shoot down Iranian missiles, which means even if only in defense of Israel, the Americans have decided to get militarily active. Remember, there is already a strong presence of the U.S. defense forces of the Central Command in the Middle East. They have 2 carrier strike groups. Already, in fact, there were reports that America has also sent in thousands of troops to bolster and strengthen their military presence across the region. And now, with these Jerusalem and Tel Aviv skies overcast with Iranian rockets, we still have Yaakov continuing with us.
It's not new, with all due respect.
General Amidor, actually. General Amidor, sorry.
This is not new. The Americans in April helped us to deal with the missiles coming from Iran. It's the same policy. What we don't know, will the Americans will be ready to react in Iran, not to defend Israel, but to attack Iranian facilities. If not, there is no any change in the American policy. It's the same policy of April.
With the US essentially stepping in right now, a big message being sent across that on the one hand you have the Iranians being completely isolated, the axis of resistance crumbling essentially at this point in time. Do you believe that the situation essentially would perhaps change with other countries wading into it, perhaps the response really coming in from the Russians? We haven't really got a statement from them as yet, but having said that, remember, they've condemned the attack that took place in Lebanon. So do you believe that the axis of resistance would perhaps be broadened in the days to come?
No, I think that in most of the countries, it's like India, ready to condemn the Iranians doing nothing. And that will be probably the policy of most of the countries around the world. The question is,
well, in fact, as the situation still remains extremely volatile right now, most of the
to make the Iranians understand that there is a price.
General Amidor, we lost you in between. So we'll just try and take that question once again with you, because I do understand that the situation remains extremely volatile, grim right now across Israel, as there's been a second wave of missiles that have been launched from northern Iran. Just a quick update for all our viewers who are tuning in right now. There's been a massive escalation in the war that's broken out in the Middle East. With that limited ground invasion that was to be carried out by the Israelis in South Lebanon has essentially seen the kind of retaliation really coming in from the Iranians. In fact, the Iranians were essentially preparing to what they're calling avenging the assassination of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah. In fact, Israelis have already said that they vow to eliminate the entire military infrastructure of the Hezbollah. But this has now taken a new turn altogether, with the Iranians firing over 100 missiles. That number could certainly change, could also go up to almost 400. Now that there are multiple reports coming in, what we can confirm is that there has been a second wave of missiles that have been launched from northern Iran. In fact, across Israel, red alert has already been issued. You already have the Israeli Air Force that has been put on standby. There's been a massive escalation with the United States of America also now intervening. President Biden ordering the military to shoot down any of the missiles that have been fired from Iran, protecting Israel. Once again, that strong message being sent across. General Amidor, let me bring you back once again. while many were asking this question, can there be an end game? The objective of the limited war that was begun by Israel was to ensure that you not only diminish the capabilities of Hamas, but also ensure that Hezbollah has the same fate like Hamas. Do you believe that there is an end game now?
We don't say that the Hezbollah end will be like Hamas. We understand the difference between the organization. What we want to be sure that Hezbollah cannot raid into Israel, and for that we have to push it into the north. That Hezbollah will not have any infrastructure in South Lebanon, so the people of Israel can live near the border without being frightened by the Hezbollah capabilities. And in the long range, we want to degrade the ability of Hezbollah to launch missiles and rockets into Israel, and to stop the efforts of the Iranians to rebuild Hezbollah again in Lebanon. That will be a long war between us and Hezbollah, and in a way, the Iranians are part of it.
So a statement that has been issued a short while back, General Amitor, I'll just take you through. Now, once again, Iran says that there is going to be a crushing response. If at all there is some sort of a retaliation really coming in from the Israelis. In fact, they say regional states and the Zionist supporters are advised to part ways with the regime. Now, a message essentially being sent out by the Iranians at this point in time, preventing others to be part of it. They were hoping that the other Arab nations are not going to come together in support of Israel.
No, I don't think that the Iranians see any coalition helping them. The Iranians don't have expectations from the Arab world. Yes, the Iranians want us to stop now, and I hope that we will not.
General Amitor, I'll just request you to stay on with us. Let me just quickly take our viewers who are tuning in right now, along with my colleague Deepak, who's
now I have to move. Now I have to move to another channel in Europe.
General Amitor,
thank you.
General
Thank
Amitor,
you very much.
Thank you very much. We're hoping that to bring you back on our network as we continue with our live coverage coming in from Jerusalem. Remember, the holy city of Jerusalem has now been attacked by the Iranians. A city that is revered not only by the Jews but also by the Christians as well as Muslims. That very city has come under attack by the Iranians. A short while back, there's been a wave of ballistic missiles that were fired by the Iranians. We're staying with those live visuals. In fact, we'll also try and get you the latest images that are coming in from the other cities too. Just a quick recap, Deepak, of what we know so far. A little after 10 o'clock this evening, Indian time, is when the ballistic missiles were fired from northern Iran. This at a time when there was also twin attack that took place in Tel Aviv. We're being told that there were shooters who were spotted in Jaffa. In fact, 8 people have been killed in the attack that took place in central Israel. Now, these are the latest images now coming in. As I understand, these are images when the rockets were fired. Take a look at this report.
Viewers, the visuals of Iranian rockets lighting up the skyline over Israel. These are the rockets that were fired from Iran. Hundreds of them, most of them being shot down by Israel's Iron Dome air defense systems. But the other visuals that we showed you showed a couple of rockets also impacting some of the residential buildings in Israel. Well, right now there is no official confirmation on the death toll, and also what
is happening on ground zero as well. But what we know is that sirens are ringing across Israel, forcing residents to safe bunkers. In fact, Shawan, after the US issued a statement, now Iraq has also come out and issued a statement saying that if the Americans intervene in any hostile action against the Islamic Republic, or if the Zionist enemy uses Iraqi airspace to carry out any bombing operations, then all American bases and interests in Iraq and the region will be our target. Now, it seems like an all-out war in the Middle East.
Well, let's make no mistake, Israel was aware that there would have been some sort of a retaliation, because remember, there was a growing divide within Iran. You've had the hardliners hoping for a strong response really coming in after the assassination of the Hezbollah chief. That is the reason why when you had that conciliatory note that was struck by the Iranian president, it did not really go down well, because they were hoping that there was going to be some sort of a strong response really coming in. Something that Israel was aware of. In fact, the United States of America, from the intelligence that was gathered by them, which was shared by with Israel, indicated that Iran was preparing to carry out a retaliation. Now, how successful is that going to be? Remember, in the past too, we have seen any sort of an escalation firing inside Israel has been one of the toughest, given the fact that the action of the air defense system that Israel has, which is, of course, the state of the art. But having said that, undoubtedly there is a massive escalation. Do we really see the axis of resistance really coming together? Just earlier in the day, there was a commentary that was made by Secretary Blinken, particularly about how exactly does he view Russia, China, Iran really coming together. And that, many would say, is becoming the axis to really fight with. Now, the United States of America coming out in full support of Israel right now with that particular order that has been passed by President Biden to shoot down any of those missiles that have been fired from Iran to protect Israel. So you've had that kind of protection coming in. US has been saying that Israel has all rights to defend itself. What is it that Israel is essentially talking about? Israel, number one, talks about the right to defend, while I'm just going to take you through the latest details too. The breaking news now coming in. Once again, Iraq warning against American intervention. Deepak, as you just rightly pointed out a short while back, that's another statement that has come in. Iran's supreme leader, if I'm not wrong, has been moved to another location, is what we are picking up. These are some of the latest updates coming in. Just to once again go back to what we know so far, Deepak, is one, there has been a retaliation which was on the expected lines. Second, remember, as far as the limited invasion, the limited invasion that was to be carried out, that operation started 24 hours ago, with Israel essentially saying that there are several other military targets of the Hezbollah that would be eliminated over a period of time. So that's the objective that they are largely talking about. But having said that, remember, there has also been a growing pressure, Deepak, on Israel to ensure that there is some sort of an end game to this entire thing. They had refused as far as ceasefire in Gaza is concerned. Secondly, with regards to this end game that we've been talking about, that too, remember, Israel says that you cannot be on the negotiating table with a terrorist organization.
Well, Shawan, let's also bring in Krutat, who's joining us live from our newsroom. Krutat, there were signs, from the last couple of days after Nasrallah's assassination, elimination by the Israeli Defense Forces. The Iran's supreme leader was moved to a safe location. Was this a sign of Iran preparing for what we are seeing right now?
There are multiple ways of looking at the entire development, Diva. First of all, we need to see that the entire measure in which that supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, was transferred out to an undisclosed location was first to prevent any retaliatory strikes from the Israel side. One can also attempt to infer that this was possibly a build-up to the strikes that came in. But this is, again, not the first time that Iran has striked in this manner. And if you look at the immediate statements released by the IRGC, they seem to be looking for de-escalation. So this is a repeat of what happened a couple of months ago, where over 3,000 rockets were fired by Iran on Israel, which the Iron Dome defense system had successfully intercepted. Now remember, this is not also the first time when the United States is defending Israel against a strike by Iran. Last time we saw the British Air Force, the United Kingdom coming into defense of Israel. We also saw the Jordanian Air Force, and we also saw the US Air Force, all three coming in and pulling in together when there was a massive barrage of missiles launched against Israel. So US also intervening, and plus it was anticipated. Few hours ago, US had already warned Israel that there is an imminent strike from the Iranian side. So it is not that the Israelis were blindsided by any measure, and particularly the entire movement of Ayatollah Khomeini into a bunker would not be seen as a premeditation of the attack. However, it is clearly seen that indications by the intelligence were already picked up on the US side and the Israeli side. But what is also interesting right now is that the breaking news update coming in is that the IDF has come out with an official statement, and the statement is very well telling. The IDF is saying that they are doing everything necessary to protect the civilians of the state of Israel, and that they have until further notice asked each and every person to go to a safe location and bunkers, specifically in Haifa, which is also a high risk target, in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, of course, which have come under the twin attacks of the rockets barrage. Deepak.
Well, also, Krutat, now the latest update from ground zero is that some Iranian missiles have also made direct impact in central and southern Israel. The military of Israel has confirmed this. So what happens from now is very crucial, because now that a few missiles have also made direct impact.
Well, just a minute, Deepak, there's more breaking news now coming in. Let's just put this out. Lebanon, in fact, has also shut their airspace. They've closed it for about 2 hours. Tehran, in fact, has also spoken to the Kremlin, in fact, Russia, ahead of the missile attacks on Israel. So it does appear, Krutat, that we're talking about the Russians. We are yet to get any sort of a response from the Kremlin at this point in time. But the last response that actually came in was after the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, which was condemned by the Russians once again. Remember, that's what the indication has been, that are we really looking at the axis being revived completely. Now, the latest response also coming in from a few areas where there has been a direct hit of the Iranian ballistic missiles. In terms of casualty, ladies and gentlemen, we do not have any report really coming in terms of the number of casualties. So far, the Israeli police has only confirmed about the shooting that took place earlier in the day. In fact, there were about 4 shooters who were seen in Jaffa. 4 people have been killed so far. That's the numbers that have been put out by the Israeli police. But once again, the IDF hasn't made any point with regards to the direct attacks, the direct hits that have taken place so far. That's the latest now coming in, Deepak.
Right, Shravan, now speaking about Kremlin's statement, they spoke about Nasrallah's elimination. So Putin is not somebody who would sit on the fence and just watch what's going on. What do you think Putin's next move would be, or probably could be?
इजराइल के समर्थन में है, और जब तक अमेरिका इसका पूरी तरह से समर्थन करता रहेगा, मुझे लगता है कि इस युद्ध को जीत सकते हैं.
Well, these are the visuals, viewers, of some of the Iranian missiles making direct impact in parts of Israel, like we were mentioning a few moments back. Some of these missiles, which escaped Iron Dome's counter missiles, have directly impacted central and southern parts of Israel, is what we're getting to understand. The Israeli military has now issued a statement saying that some of these missiles have hit the central regions as well. So now, there you can see in the visuals, you can also hear sirens being sounded across Israel. People are now moving to safe bunkers. Krutat, if you could take us through what's happening.
Indeed, Deepak, and these are the fresh visuals that we are getting in from Jerusalem. and from different parts of Israel, where we can clearly see that there has been a massive barrage of rockets. Now, what the IDF statement so far reads is that this is a very routine procedure, and these are not high-intensity impacts of the rockets by themselves, but these are interception blasts that are taking place close to the ground, and we are also seeing that some of the rockets which are deflected eventually to the ground are also creating a lot of impact. However, so far we do not have any official confirmation on the death toll. However, the visuals are indeed quite dramatic, and the Iron Dome defense system is in complete overhaul mode at the moment. We also have the information from the United States that President Biden has given a clear go-ahead to the US Navy in the Red Sea to have interception strikes and help Israel defend itself. So clearly there are indications that perhaps the Iron Dome system could be at the possibility of overwhelming. At the same time, this missile barrage strike is not as big as it was the last time. So far, the information that we have is about 150 rockets have been fired towards Israel. However, this information is live and updating. So more inputs from ground zero will eventually tell us what is the exact number of rockets that have been launched so far. But clearly, the Iron Dome defense system is facing some amount of difficulty. But IDF clearly maintains that these are not precision strikes that are actually landing in, but these are interceptions that are happening, Deepak.
Right, Krutat, like you were mentioning, Iron Dome, the air defense system, is currently overwhelmed because the scale of attack is unexpected. Hundreds of missiles have been fired. Some of them were neutralized, but the others have definitely impacted some parts of Israel. As you can see on your screens, viewers, these are some of Iranian missiles impacting some of the areas in Israel. And now, to aid Israel in its defense against Iranian missiles, the US has also stepped in. Shawan, where do you expect this situation to go from now?
Well, in fact, these are the latest images now coming in. This is an Iranian ballistic missile which has landed in some part of Israel. We'll just try and get you the exact details of where it has actually landed, because a short while back, now let me just tell you, this is a claim, Deepak, that has been made by the Iranians. In fact, some report coming on Iranian news networks that there have been a direct hit in Negev, Sharon and other locations after the attack that has taken place. But important to point out here, Israelis are yet to confirm whether at all there have been any direct hits. Undoubtedly, when you're looking at least about over 200 missiles, at least two Israeli officials have indicated that 200 missiles have already been launched. It is unprecedented to begin with. But having said that, if you see the capacity of the Iron Dome itself, it can very well manage to a greater extent. But having said that, there could be some interceptions which may have failed, resulting in some of the missiles that are landing and of course the direct hits that we're talking about. Just a quick recap of what we know so far. Deepak, for all our viewers who are tuning in, this is a massive escalation in the Middle East right now, with Iran retaliating. Once again, this is the first direct attack by the Iranians right now. I'm told that we have a reporter on the ground. We'll try and see if we can. Major Samarpal Tur is joining us on this broadcast. Before I bring in Major Samarpal Tur, Major, just allow me to just quickly update all our viewers with regards to all the latest coming in. Deepak, if you could also join me taking our viewers through the latest. Number one, in terms of the interception that has taken place, we're being told that there have been certain hits, but these are claims that have been made by the Iranians. No official word really coming in from the Israelis at this point in time. There is another report that is coming in right now that Iranians haven't really fired another set of missiles as of now. So it does appear that the situation may have been brought under control right now. Sirens are blaring in most parts of Israel. These are the latest images now coming in from Jerusalem. Now that's the other shocking aspect of this entire war, because the Iranians, it appears, have also targeted Jerusalem. However, having said that, these are not guided missiles that we're really looking at. But having said that, you have the holy site of Jerusalem that has also come under attack. The Israeli Defense Forces also indicating that their jets are on standby. So there is an indication that Israelis aren't going to really lie low at this point in time. This is going to see some sort of a ramification. escalation, some sort of a retaliation really coming in from the Israelis at this point in time. But the US too, Deepak, has indicated that there is no doubt that the Israelis are going to retaliate.
And in fact, reports have also said that Israel has issued another statement saying that their plans for Iran is ready and they will strike when they decide to. So probably, Shaban, this attack by Iran, which comes 5 months after the strikes on Israel in April, probably those strikes which were completely thwarted by the Israeli defense systems was just a test to probably check on Israel's defense capabilities. And 5 months later...
Sorry to interrupt you, Deepak. I'm told that spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Alex Gandler, is joining us on this broadcast. Mr. Gandler, thank you very much for joining us. We do understand that this is a grim situation right now in Israel. First, give us a sense of what's really happening right now. Have the missiles been intercepted? What's the current situation?
Yes, hello. Thank you for having me. It's a grim night. Most of the missiles that have been shot at Israel have been intercepted by our air defense. You probably saw some pictures or videos of missiles that did hit Israel. We're still assessing the damage. Most likely it was directed at air bases of the Israeli Air Force. We know of one casualty in Jericho, a resident of the Gaza Strip that illegally crossed into Jericho was killed by one of the missiles.
Mr. Gandler, if you could just also help us understand, because some of the Iranian news networks they made a claim that there have been direct hits in Negev, Sharon, and a few other places. Is that true?
I know there were some hits. I don't think I can elaborate more regarding where exactly the hits were. I'm still assessing it myself. Up until 20 minutes ago, I was in my safe room and in the bomb shelter alongside my neighbors here next to my apartment. So there's still a lot to assess and understand. Obviously, I know you're also showing some of the hits, but most of the missiles or rockets were intercepted by different air defense systems of Israel and coalition.
Mr. Gandler, would it be appropriate to say that perhaps after the second wave of missiles that were launched, the situation now has been brought under control, or do you all suspect that there could be another wave of missiles being launched from northern Iran?
It's very possible that we will have another launch, but at the moment we think that everything is under control. Israeli airspace is open. People are walking the streets. We have been given an order that we can exit the bomb shelters. So life has returned to a normality. I can tell you that about 10 minutes ago, I was walking my dog because he needed a walk. It is something that Iran, no matter how hard they try, will not stop us from living our normal life. So at the moment, we're under control. This was an unprovoked and an extremely dangerous escalation by Iran. We are sure to have a proper response as well.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt about the fact, Mr. Gandler, that this is a major escalation in West Asia at this point in time. But how does Israel really look into this entire matter? Because as we understand, this may not have been unexpected. The retaliation, or if I may say, the first response really coming in from Iran, that was on the expected lines.
I don't know what retaliation for. We have not attacked Iran. If Iran is attacking us because we are trying to defend our borders in the north and in the south, and by them attacking us from the south with the Houthis, and from the north with Hezbollah, and from the east with Kataib Hezbollah, and from the west with Hamas, we are surrounded by Iranian proxies who are attacking us. We are trying to defend our citizens and defend this land. Iran is the aggressor. Iran is the destabilizer in this region, not only in Israel, but across the Middle East. Hence the coalition that is built in order to protect Israel from its aggression. This is another act of aggression by Iran. This is not a retaliation. They can frame it as much as they want. At the end of the day, we are a very small nation. We're surrounded by enemies that are paid for by Iran. So this is for us a war against their proxies and against their trying to dominate this part of the world.
Mr. Gandler, could you also give us a sense of what's the situation in the other parts of Israel? Because as I understand that a short while back, the IDF indicated that sirens were blaring across Israel. Has the situation now normalized?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm in Jerusalem. We had sirens here. Of course, the rockets came from the east, from Iran. So they flew over Jerusalem. Probably you saw pictures of them flying over the Al-Aqsa Mosque and all parts of Jerusalem, and flew towards the west, trying to hit central areas. If you look at a map of Israel, and we have these maps where you can see where the sirens are blowing off, you could see that all of Israel was under sirens. The reason for that is while the ballistic trajectory of the missile is coming, the air defenses are calculating where it's going to hit, and in order to protect civilians, we're asking everyone to step into shelter until we realize exactly where it's going to hit. There's a calculation for that. So all of Israel was under sirens, but the missiles hit in very specific spots. I'm not sure exactly where at the moment. As I said, we're still assessing.
Is there any preliminary assessment that your ministry has made with regards to the attack that has taken place? Any casualties that have been reported so far?
So one casualty, as I said, a citizen or a resident of Gaza that was in Jericho. I know that he was killed from an Iranian rocket, a Palestinian that was killed by Iranian rocket. And as to Israeli citizens, we still don't have any assessment regarding that. Maybe a few injured at the moment. The assessment says no killed.
Mr. Gandler, in terms of this response from the Iranians, makes it abundantly clear that they have come out in full support of an organization which has terrorist activities written by their name. And the fact that today there are some reports also now coming in, Mr. Gandler, that the Russians perhaps were aware that Tehran was planning to carry out this attack.
I'm not aware regarding your last statement, but I can tell you that Iran, that created Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a proxy that is not only funded by Iran, it is also led, instructed, and was created by Iran as part of its revolutionary ideology in order to promote radical Shiite Islamism on the world. So it's not coming to the help of some unknown entity. It is coming for the help, and let me do air quotes, for the help of its own creation, because it understands that Israel is now aiming to distance it from our northern border in order for them not to have the opportunity to attack Israeli citizens. So the fact that we're attacking Hezbollah, we're not attacking the state of Lebanon, we're attacking Hezbollah. Because we're attacking them, Iran is getting scared. And because they're getting scared, they're doing extreme deeds. This is one of them.
In terms of this question that has been asked many a times, that is there some sort of an end game? The military objectives of the war when it began was to basically decapitate the capabilities of the Hamas, and perhaps now with the Hezbollah, with the eliminations that we have essentially seen. Is Israel really looking at some sort of an end game?
Absolutely, and we have it. We're stating it very clearly. We want the return of all our hostages from Gaza, the eradication of Hamas completely from the Gaza Strip, and we want Resolution 1701 of the United Nations Security Council implemented in Lebanon, so Hezbollah forces will be stationed north of the Litani River. It is very clear for us what we need to do. We need to return our citizens back to the north, those 60 to 100,000 Israelis who were displaced in the beginning of this war almost a year ago. So those are our goals in the south. eradicate Hamas and bring back 101 hostages that are seen being kept there, and drive back Hezbollah over the Litani as part of Resolution 1701 in order to bring our citizens back to the north.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gandler, for joining us on this broadcast. We pray that you and all the citizens of Israel remain safe in this grim moment as Israel faces a rain of missiles that have been fired from Iran. A developing situation now taking place in West Asia, Deepak, as we see some sort of a celebrity firing also taking place in Beirut and in Gaza. This was perhaps on the expected lines, but having said that, a confirmation now coming in from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Israel that at least 2 waves of missiles that were launched from Iran. Currently, the situation has been brought under control, but having said that, they're also saying that they're not perhaps taking away the fact that there is a possibility of another set of missiles being rained in.
Amity has been ranked amongst the top 3% universities globally, a testimony to Amity's globally benchmarked quality.
Songs and proses. I don't care for no sweet boys with roses. I'm too busy, baby, making plans on how to get me one of them manly men. All I want is a touch of love.
Virat Kohli has made history by becoming the fastest player to reach 27,000 international runs, an accomplishment that he brought up in the second and final test of the series against Bangladesh. He thus surpassed the legendary Sachin Tendulkar's record of 27,000 runs in 623 innings. What makes this even more remarkable is that Kohli achieved this massive milestone in just 594 innings, solidifying his position as one of the greatest batsmen in cricket history. The achievement is in many ways a testament to Virat Kohli's consistency, skill and dedication to the sport. He has been a dominant force in international cricket with an impressive record in all formats of the game and for over a decade at this point. Kohli's journey to this milestone has been marked by his ability to adapt to different conditions and oppositions, making him a formidable player in all situations. In addition to Virat Kohli and Sachin Tendulkar, only 2 other players have achieved the 27,000 run mark, former Australian captain Ricky Ponting and Sri Lanka's Kumar Sangakkara. However, Kohli bringing up this record is a testament to his exceptional skill and dedication, as he not only made it to the milestone but was also the fastest to reach this milestone. Virat Kohli scored 47 of 35 balls in the first innings of the ongoing second test match against Bangladesh. Kohli was also dismissed by Shakib Al Hasan while trying to hit the ball for a boundary. India scored 285 for 9 and declared the innings in response to Bangladesh's 233 all out, and it was in many ways an innings to remember for cricket fans. India broke a number of records in the course of the game, including getting to the fastest team 50 in tests, the fastest team 100 and even the fastest team 200. the reason for the urgency in the Indian batting was the fact that 2.5 days of the game were lost to rain. There were heavy showers on day 1, meaning only 35 overs were possible. It continued to rain on day 2, and it was so bad that the state of the outfield on day 3 also ended up seeing no action, despite there being no rain in Kanpur on the day. But India are keen to ensure a result due to the fact that they need a few more wins to seal qualification for the World Test Championship final. India need 4 wins in their remaining 9 games, and this makes the game against Bangladesh doubly important, which explains why they went so hard with the bat on a relatively placid Kanpur.
As we continue our rolling coverage of the massive escalation that has taken place in West Asia, now Israel coming under fire of Iranian missiles. Over 200 missiles that have been fired in the last 2.5 hours. The IDF now saying that no casualties have been reported so far. A short while back, Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Israel, live on Republic TV, has confirmed that the situation has now been brought under control, but they believe that this is not the end. There is a possibility of another set of missiles being fired from northern Iran. Joining us on this broadcast is the former spokesperson of the IDF, Rachel Lester. Ms. Lester, thank you very much for speaking to Republic TV. I do understand that the situation is extremely grim currently in Israel, where sirens are blaring across the country. Give us a sense of what's the situation around you.